Alright everyone, welcome to Deep Dives with Dogs. Today we're going to talk about the Soviets' attempts to fully control their side of Germany. Um, so, after the Second World War, Germany gets split in half between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union, the Eastern Ally, really. Um, So you have the United States zone, the French zone, and the British zone. Those get formed into West Germany, and then the city of Berlin itself also gets split in half. You have West Berlin and East Berlin. Uh, and early on, things are like, okay, things are a little tense. Everyone can feel everyone's a little tense. The relations very rapidly deteriorate between the Soviets and the Western Allies to such a degree that the Soviets will put a blockade on the city of Berlin itself. They will block the Allies from getting any supplies, to the best of their ability, to Berlin. And this will lead to one of the greatest uh, feats of uh, aerospace, you could say. No, not aerospace, but of airlifting supplies. Um, the Western Allies will airlift supplies to Berlin at an insane rate because obviously there's a lot of people in West Berlin. So they have to do their best to make sure those people are fully supplied. So there will be non-stop planes flying in to give them food, supplies, all sorts of different things to ensure that they are well stocked. And the Soviets kind of try to stop them, but it does not work. It's not effective. It's actually very ineffective. Um, and this happened about 1949, so you really can see how fast things have deteriorated. That we're already to a point of them blocking Berlin. It's only been a few years since the end of the war. Um, but eventually, this blockade will be lifted by the Soviets. They just see it as it's not. There's no point. The Allies will just keep airlifting supplies, and our entire uh, point of this operation has just been kind of defunct. No reason to keep wasting resources on something like this. However, this will start what is basically a continued effort to stop East Berlin from fleeing into West Berlin. Many people will flee east and west because obviously when it first started, you could go from east to west, and it's all good. No big deal. But as time continues, with the Soviets' insistence on having a stranglehold of their territory, they will prevent people from going east to west. At first, it starts with small things, just guards blocking the way, things like that. Then it'll be barbed wire, and then it'll go further and further and further until the Berlin Wall is built. And the amount of um, just evilness really built into the Berlin Wall is kind of crazy. There were many ways to prevent people from leaving. There was some that were kind of a little goofier, and some that were a little bit more insidious. For one of the goofier ones is they had under Berlin a whole archive of people's underwear. Well, why would they do that? It's so that they had a scent of you. So if you escaped, they would use dogs and track you down. Not like my dogs who are trying to trip me. But yeah, they would try to track you down with that. And it makes sense, it's a place where a lot of pheromones and your scent are, so that's where they are going to. That's what they're going to do. Uh, that's one of the more goofy occurrences. The more insidious is on each side of the Berlin Wall. Well, not each side, but their side. There was um, sand pits. Now the sand pits weren't really there to slow you down. Yeah, well, some, but it's sand, it'll be a little bit more difficult to move through, but not overly so. But that was not the necessarily the intention. The intention of the sand pits was to ensure that if a guard, while on duty, did not stop whoever got through the sand pit, there would be physical evidence showing that somebody got through, and then that guard would in turn be, well, I'm sure you can imagine what. His life will not be so good, and his family life will not be so good. Um, so it's things like that, and the Berlin Wall, when it finally comes down, I mean that's basically the end. But it takes a long time, and many people had to suffer through this, and it's all because of a breakdown of communications between the East and the West. And realistically, it probably shouldn't have happened. You know, communications should have stayed friendly at least. But sometimes it's not so simple, especially when you have someone like old Joe Stalin in charge. But now you know. And if you like this video, leave a like. If you have any ways I can improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.